Hey, brother teacher again. This is a very sensitive subject to a certain portion of our population, and maybe not to others. But let me preface this video dissertation, if you will, by saying this. I have no hate for anyone in the human society or in our community by and large. I have no animosity towards any individual or any group of individuals. I am simply a man, a human being that is expressing a viewpoint, and I am entitled to express a viewpoint. Uh, there is this expression, and I have heard it said many times, too numerous for me to keep up with throughout my life. And that expression is this: to each his own. Makes you kind of wonder uh, the, I guess, the indebtedness or the in-depthness, if you will, of that term or expression, to each his own. So, most people, when we start to talk about issues of life, I like to call it, you'll find some individual that may say, to each his own. For example, uh, I knew a guy when I was younger that would eat sunflower seeds along with the shells, even though traditionally you would see people crack the shells from a sunflower uh, seed, and then they would get the seed from inside the shell and they eat the seeds and throw the shells away. But I've seen a couple people that eat the whole sunflower seed, shell and all. And someone standing off to the side says, well, to each his own. Or you might see someone that is going swimming in the summertime. And typically when you see a man swimming, he has on trunks, Speedo or what have you, and he's not wearing a shirt. But you'll see another man wearing a t-shirt swimming. And someone off to the side may say, to each his own. As innocent as that may seem or sound at first, doesn't mean that it applies to everything. There are some people, for example, that try to walk a straight and narrow path in life and follow rules and laws of a society. And then there are other people who break those laws. Would that same statement apply to those situations? When you have someone that breaks a law, would you say to each his own because he's breaking the law? You're an honest person and you try to be an upstanding citizen in your community, and you see someone stealing something out of a grocery store and you witness it. Do you make that statement arbitrarily, to each his own? I don't think so, because there's something inherently wrong with that behavior. So I said all of that to say this, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not an indictment against anyone or any classification of individuals, and I hate that term classification. But anyway, for lack of a better word, this is not an indictment or attack on anyone. It is just an observation throughout my life, and that simply is this. I have been around well over 50 years on this planet, and I have noticed in the past decade or so that homosexuality has become more free or freer. When President Obama was in office, one of his first agendas was to change the don't ask, don't tell policy of the military, for example. And right around that time, if not a little while before that, you started to see a lot of gay and lesbian celebrities coming out of the closet, so to speak. They began to denounce that they were not heterosexual sexuals, that they were homosexuals, they were lesbians, gays, transsexuals, and so forth. And I thought it interesting, and it wasn't just myself. It's been thousands and thousands of people who viewed it the same as myself, but I'm speaking out for me. But anyway, I remember when a certain talk show host during the day came out, and then another talk show host came out a little while later. Then you start seeing actresses and actors coming out announcing that they were gay. I'm trying not to personify anyone in particular because I don't want to give the impression that I'm targeting anyone, which I am not. I've already forestated that. But I will mention this one show. There's a television show that's been on for quite a while. It's RuPaul's Drag Race. It comes on cable, and most people are familiar with this. And you know, this had been on my mind for quite a while, scanning through the channels or surfing the net, not the net, but the television, if you will, and coming across this TV show, and I just thought it interesting, so I would stop and watch. And to see all of these men dressing like women, calling each other queens, and that's the thing that really sparked me to want to do this particular video. But they were calling each other queens, and excuse the expression, even sometimes bitches, and it just does not sit right with me, the individual. And as I said before, I'm not the only one that sees things this way. This is my viewpoint, and I'm not going to let this particular video just drag out about this subject matter. I'm just touching on it. And I want to say this. I watched the television show Family Guy, and they have certain episodes where one of the characters is playing someone gay. And I watch another cartoon. Now, a lot of these cartoons are not made for children. They're actually adult cartoons, but they're still cartoons just the same. But they have all of these sexual innuendos in them, and all of these characterizations of gay and lesbian people. And it's inappropriate. Now, I know, I've heard it said before, if you don't want to watch a program, just change the channel. Of course I know that, and I do that. But I'm just saying, while you have the freedom in your home to watch what you want to watch, you can't help but notice these things being part of the programming. Notice I said the word programming as well. But anyway, not so much the cartoons alone in and of themselves, but there have been numerous television programs or shows that come on the screen where there's gay barbers, gay hairstylists, and gay beauty salons. And I mentioned RuPaul and his Drag Race, and just to see all of these very nice men, I would presume, prancing across the stage, dressing like women, behaving as women, in an effeminate fashion, disturbs me. And I can't say to each his own. I'm going to say this, and it is what it is. The Creator, God, Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you choose or decide to call him, he made everything perfect that he made. He made everything without a gray area. He made man, and he made womb man, or woman as we refer to her. There's nothing in between. There's no man that wants to be a woman or a woman that wants to be a man. And there's no, I'm confused about what I am, even though you may be. If you are not sure of your sexuality and what you are or who you are, that is a sickness. That is something that is wrong with you. It could be chemically, and it could be something that happened to you while you were a child coming up, but it is not natural. It is not natural for a man to want to be a woman, nor is it natural for a woman to want to be a man, or either of the two behaving like the other and believing that that's what you are, taking on the role of the opposite sex. That, my friends, is against God. Plain and simple. You can say that this is my opinion. I'll give that to you. But it's not my opinion, because nature can't be debated. If there's a male, the opposite of a male is a female. How can you get anything else other than the male and the female when those are two entirely different extremes from one another? Just like there's an up, there's a down. Okay? If you're in the middle, that means that you're not on one extreme nor the other extreme. You're in the middle. It's like the expression riding the fence. If you're riding the fence, that means you're not on either side of the fence. You can't ride the fence when it comes to your sexuality. Either you are a male or you are a female. And that's the end of that story. Anything else is confusion. Anything else is a sickness. Now let me say this before I depart. I originally prefaced this video by saying that this is not an indictment against an individual. I'm not attacking an individual. I'm just saying I'm mentioning the nature of things. It is unnatural for a man to want to behave like a woman or to be a woman, let alone have a transsexual type of life, wanting to have his body parts, his anatomy changed and altered to that of the opposite sex, and vice versa. It's unnatural. So with that said, I want to say this, that there are indeed individuals that I respect for the work that they have done in their lives. Ellen DeGeneres is one of my favorite comedians and talk show hosts, and I love Ellen DeGeneres. I love Queen Latifah. There are a lot of people that I respect, especially for their body of work that they have done in the entertainment industry, but that does not necessarily mean that I agree with their personal choice as it relates to their sexuality. Now, as people say, everyone is entitled to their own opinion again. This is not my opinion, and I'm letting you know. I'm disclosing that to you. I don't give an opinion because an opinion would be personal based on my own feelings, and it could be tainted. So I'm saying this based on facts, based on truth, and those truths come right out of the Bible. They come right out of the Holy Quran. So God can't tell a lie. God doesn't make a mistake. God does everything decently and in order. God did not make some confused human being that did not know what their sexuality was. He made them male and he made them female. And that's it, and that's all. Everything else is us. Everything else is us putting ourselves in the way of that which has already been established according to nature. Now, I welcome your feedback, your comments, and I hope the spirit in which I have presented this message, if you will, I hope it will be received in the same manner, and that if you have something to say concerning this subject matter, that you say it in the spirit of uh, liberty, if you will, and decency. I'm not attacking anyone. You didn't hear me use colorful language. I didn't call anyone a name. I'm just saying that what I mentioned earlier is against God. Now, there is help if you have found yourself in that lifestyle and you want to change, and then you want to uh, not be labeled that way any longer. But you let me know what your feelings are concerning this subject matter. I will be interested to know how many people share the same viewpoint as myself. And for those that may take this to heart and wear their feelings on their sleeves, I'm sorry that you do. But I will say to you, please use this platform that we call the internet, and maybe YouTube or whatever platform you might find this particular video on. Please be decent in your response, because if you're not, and you start name calling and things of that sort, I'm just going to block you. I'm just going to shut you down. So I welcome conversation, back and forth, some dialogue, and it's okay. That was all I had to say. This is Brother Teacher. I'll see you in the next video. So long.